Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Underbot Cloud. And so I did prepare a bit of an agenda to go through today.
Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? You shouldn't do that. It's not Friday if you don't go, where's my mouse? Where's my mouse?
I'm just like shaking. So we have a bit of introduction, a bit about the cloud overview, migration process, and also about some customer scenarios, and then just a bit of Q&A about anything that you may or may not know about. So I need to go back so Kush can see my
I love it.
my cloud.
I'm going to duck this for proposals.
We'll use some of this for my conference presentation.
All right, so why a Friday training on the cloud? Well, as most should know, we do have a 2020 company vision where all of our customers are cloud-based. It's not something we have communicated externally, like out there yet, but it's something that we're starting to mention to some clients and kind of get them on board, especially ones that we know are going to take a lot longer. It's not something you can just do overnight. But this will be communicated at the conference. So the more we all know collectively, the more we can all answer instead of always referring back to the people like Kush and Jeanette. So it's just to kind of have a bit of idea of the basics, So if a customer did ask, can I do that on the cloud? You can say, oh, yes, sure, you can. And so it just kind of shows that, we are knowledgeable and kind of, our confidence on the subject improves.
I don't think the clickers.
So I thought I will start off with showing, where we are today. And so it is more than half of our customers are already in the cloud. And so we have about 65 customers who are still on premise. So who makes up that 41%? So it is really what we call legacy customers, so customers that have been a customer for quite some time. It wasn't until about, and this is going back a bit of memory, may not be accurate, but about 2012 is when we started kind of really promoting the cloud. But it was only optional, so customers did not have to go to the cloud. It was you can still buy the software, install it on premise. But in the last couple of years, it has been cloud only. They're also known as perpetual customers, so these customers are actually licensed to the product, whereas the product we sell now is actually SaaS. So it is hosting for these customers and as a service. They still own the software, but they can also be migrated to a SaaS model, but there is a bit of a legal matter to go through because they need to essentially surrender their ownership. Any questions so far?
Does everyone know what SaaS stands for? Yeah. Does anyone not know what SaaS stands for? There we go, we got one.
I'm new, it's fine.
Software as a service. Yes. Yeah. Diane, you can hear me okay? Am I talking too fast?
No, all good, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Just to clarify on SaaS, we are really not a true SaaS product because we are licensing as a SaaS product. So you pay as a subscription, and that's how the SaaS model works. But as a SaaS provider, SaaS providers have one software that's used across one version that's used across all customers. We don't do that. Each customer gets a version installed in our cloud environment. So in the essence of SaaS, we're not really a true SaaS company, but
SaaS-like.
Hybrid. Yeah. So
is it what we were trying to get to, or?
Well, that is the vision of one version, one system. And we had the was it that we were talking to about this?
V-Base.
Yeah, so we're talking to V-Base, and they asked this very question, trying to understand what is different between going to our cloud versus going to getting a cloud service from somebody else. And right now, it's true that a customer can go and go to Amazon Cloud and set up their own environment, and they can say, oh, we are in the cloud, but they're not in our cloud. So but the vision is to go and be a SaaS product, meaning one vision, one system. So what that means is that when you upgrade, everybody gets upgraded at one time. That's the impact of it. So, but in order to do that, we have to get our customers to the cloud first. And once they are on the cloud, then the next step would be to go to one version.
That's not a short term, so we don't need to share that with customers at this stage. It's more of a longer term. It'd be a longer term initiative. Thanks, my assistant, for today. So we've got a couple, I put a couple of just dot points of reasons why they maybe haven't migrated. So if anyone has others, we can discuss these as well. But a lot of the feedback that I've had from customers over the years, it is a kind of an ownership of responsibilities. There are people kind of employed to look after a database and take care of those responsibilities, whereas, if you go into the cloud, they may feel there's actually less responsibility for them, but not actually thinking about the benefits of freeing up, that additional time they're going to have.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, of course.
Just that I guess a lot of customers have probably purchased infrastructure as well, and the timing might not be right for them to, when they get to replace that, they might consider.
I've also got customers that even they've got so much infrastructure, they're not going to be saving any money by migrating to the cloud. So because they have so many other systems and so many other things they need to power, there's actually not a cost saving if they migrate to the cloud because they still require the same amount of infrastructure. So that's kind of where I've got that, they haven't needed to. There's nothing kind of saying, I need to go to the cloud, I can't upgrade. Or, And there's also no budget. This is very common. It's not something, if it's not on their roadmap, they're not thinking about adding budget for these sort of things. And a lot of our customers that haven't migrated, they are those bigger customers, and it is because it's not a significant investment, but it's not something they could just pull from the IT budget straight away. And the other part is, I skipped this one, but the integrations and customizations. Some of the stuff that they've written may not be supported or optimized in the cloud. And they would have this assumption that they just can't do it in the cloud. So they go, oh no, we need to do this, we need to do that. So it's kind of, so we're going to talk about, how we could kind of support that a bit later on. Oh, no, next slide. So there's more information later on too. So some of the things we can do as a company to change their mindset. It is a kind of an update for them to know, and we have started, and we've seen this happen with some customers already, is that all of our new solutions does only go to cloud customers first. And in some of our new solutions, we don't even have a timeline on when they will be available to these on-premise customers. And same with version 30. We've got customers knocking down our doors like every week asking when's version 30, when's version 30. And so that's something that there are customers who are actually seeing the cloud, go there quicker and they will get access to version 30 quicker. Some have kind of accepted that message, some haven't quite yet. I also think, it's also for the IT team that are worried about user ownership. I haven't thought of a way to position this yet, but it could be a way, it doesn't mean that they're actually losing their jobs. It means they have more time. Maybe they can work on more projects. Maybe, it's new responsibilities they could learn.
API.
Yeah, and that's one, so that's an example we have with IC Sydney. We've been having discussions about the cloud for, 12 months now. And that one's got very, very old school integrations. And so they were very hesitant to begin with, but now they've kind of, mentally accepted that this is the way forward. And so Steve's actually really excited now, in contact on learning APIs and webhooks, and he's done some training sessions with Peter Kay, and like he's really kind of excited, and he understands now that, you know, that's the old way, API, everything's API now, and like, I can't get away with that anymore. And so it's kind of like shifting that mindset of, you know, if things are, you know, different as they were 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's just also helping understand the journey, especially the ones that do have these large integrations. It's kind of, you know, it's not something where, say, you need to migrate to the cloud and you're on your own. We're here to help. You know, we're starting to work through plans with some of these customers already, and kind of, I guess, yeah, think of like it's never going to be standard because they're all different. They'll have different requirements, but it's kind of, you know, as the more we do, the more we're going to learn as a company, and the more we can share on that journey, and we're going to be exposed to that. Yeah, and my last point, which is as this has helped me a lot, and this is something that anyone can say, is, you know, if they respond to you that, well, I'll just look for a new system, it's a very, very, very easy response, is that those systems are all going to be cloud hosted. So it's just kind of, that's the way it is. It is the norm. And the systems that aren't cloud hosted, they end up paying a lot, like they have like a increase, like they charge a lot more money if you want to install it like a product on premise. So it's kind of, yeah, it's not unique to Underbox. So the next part, we're going to talk about a little bit about the cloud inclusions, a bit like, you know, what you get of being in a cloud customer. So just a disclaimer, this session is really about like migrating. So it is really for those existing customers who aren't in that cloud. It's not so relevant to like our new customers that are already in the cloud, and like the Flex and enterprise customers. This really is like for perpetual. Does anyone know what perpetual customers is? Sorry to look at you, Tony. I thought I would share. So advantages, I actually saw this from Salesforce. I typed in cloud memes or quotes, and I actually found a pretty good quote I thought, where it's saying that, you know, 94% of businesses claim they saw improvement in security after switching to the cloud. 91% say the cloud makes it easier to meet government compliance requirements. So that's, you know, this is not something that are, you know, whether it's like a hard cost, but it's so that they don't need to worry about security, being compliant. They don't need to worry about, you know, data protection and all of that, like all of that responsibility falls to us to worry about it and make sure that we're compliant. It's also with the support and manage upgrades. You know, we would do all of the upgrades for the customers. So, you know, we know we've got customers that, you know, they'll spend their Sunday morning working on an upgrade on the weekend. So there's no more kind of weekend or graveyard shifts for the IT team, because it's something that, because we are a global company, we've got resources in the US to perform that outside of the hours. Also, immediate access to Underbox client care, and so I also want to add consultants as well, because, you know, if there's an issue or something needs to be configured, you know, we don't need, I think we all know how many, you know, I think it took a week to get IC Sydney's database over to us just last week or recently. Whereas, you know, we've got immediate access if they were in the cloud. So it's a really, like, some of these, they're not cost benefits, but it's more kind of like value and kind of, you know, ease of use. Yeah, other sorts of benefits. You can't put a cost, like that ad where it's like priceless. I've got the ad.
You can't put a price on the benefits that they're going to receive from being in the cloud.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, something like that.
MasterCard, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Where it's like saying cost this, or some of the things I don't know what it says. Okay, so some of the standard inclusions, and some of these, no one's ever going to ask you about these, but the ones to point out is that they do get a test database. That's a lot of questions I've always had, or do I get a second sandbox environment? And yes, they do. There's, the other one, important one is that because we are a global company, some of them have an assumption that the database could be in the US, but it's not. We have a data center in Sydney and one in Singapore, so that's for our region, and then for the other regions they have their relevant databases. The rest is standard cloud. If you want to know.
Is the test included by default, or is something that's planning to pay?
For these customers, yes.
To get the perpetual one.
The only ones where it's not included is the Flex. You have to purchase the optional upgrade, but otherwise in the standard kind of like cloud cost, it's included. But what's not included in a standard cloud environment is there is no direct database access. Does anyone know what that means?
Not if I have to
You
answer.
want to explain that?
Yeah. Does anyone want to have a
Go for it, Murray.
Oh, sorry, no, do you want to explain it?
I'm open
No,
for
no,
someone more
I'm
technical
sorry.
to explain it. Let's be
Like
honest.
access to the SQL tables behind the scenes. About it.
Yeah.
So I'm not technical.
So we have a lot of customers that, they can just access SQL Manager, they can see the tables, query the tables, run scripts against the database. So that's something that you can't do in the standard cloud.
Why would I need to run script from the database?
Okay, you want to, I don't know, you want to extract maybe like 100,000 records of data somewhere. A membership report.
So
Something
the
like
reasons behind why perpetual customers want it is some who are development work report. It's a very nice and quick and easy way to see the results in running SQL script. Whereas when you do in Crystal, you have to get everything done and then run it and verifications. Sometimes it's just easier to do it in SQL. That's one of the reasons, and the other reasons are if you created a old school integrations where you need to extract data and then send it to another system to import. Because these are very old customers, that was the only way of doing it, and therefore they have these integrations that require direct SQL access. And when moving to the cloud, that's no longer an option. Our database server is not publicly accessible, so you can't go in and run scripts.
So they need to do it via APIs and.
So any integrations, preferred methods are APIs, or if the API doesn't have an endpoint, technical services would basically develop that endpoint for you that you can then integrate with other systems.
You can query through Crystal though, like the database still. Isn't there a way that like how to query the database in the querying the tables? Is there something with the?
Do it in my local. I need to log into.
Crystal reports can you do?
Yeah, but
Report software.
no, it won't work if it's in the cloud. I need to go to Citrix because I can't access the database.
Yeah, there's some kind of backdoor way. You just still can't put anything in there. It's still easier to do it directly in the SQL though.
So you access Crystal through Citrix?
Yeah, and there's a way to still query some data. So
Is it on your list of to mention?
no, but we can. There's a bit of like an instruction manual that we put together just for when we had a customer migrate.
It was Excel. We explored Excel.
Oh, okay.
So one of the common things that on-premise customers would typically ask is that, I've been able to develop my reports with that reports expert who can connect to the database and then run the generated reports. So, will I be able to do that in the cloud? The answer is yes. The difference is, instead of them going to their local machine and opening a Crystal, we will provide the Crystal software through the cloud platform. So that's the difference that we need to verify that you can still do that, but we will provide you the software and you will do it.
It's just a So there's a few situations where, sorry, now that I'm on board, I can say these things. So there's a few other to the table things that may go on that you may be interested in. So let's just say somebody deletes a whole heap of stuff they shouldn't have. You can write a script to pull it out of your test and put it back in. There's that, which is kind of useful sometimes, which we don't. I don't know of any customer doing that, of course. But,
voice maintenance.
Yeah. And then there's a few other things that I guess sometimes you want to write a report that can't actually be written in Crystal properly, so you have to create a stored procedure and something like that to make it actually run. Otherwise, it takes 20 minutes for it to run.
Technical services can do that.
Mm-hmm. But if you've got a local copy of the database, you could stored procedure.
Local copy of the database.
Sorry, segue. Beautiful.
Let's go to the next slide. So with the no direct database access, we do have some additional cloud offerings that we can go through. So it's not the end of the world if you know that a customer is accessing the SQL manager, SQL something. So what else we provide, the first couple of little things, but custom URLs if they want, MBS, we just did a booking portal. They didn't want some standard Algobot kind of URL, and so they could craft their own. That's something that we need to host on our server, so you can choose to have all these little custom references to things. If you want more than one test database, you can buy as many as you want. And here you'd have a replicated database on-premise or to AWS in the cloud as well. So we'll spend a bit more time on the replicated. You can get a dedicated database instance. So that's just at the moment. It's one shared instance with multiple databases, but if you have a customer that they don't want their database on a shared environment, they can be on their own instance as well. It's just cost a bit more.
We should do that.
In the new cloud offerings, in an effort to get more people we're offering. So I think we do it for it's already by some default. So if customers have I think over 300 users, they upgrade to be on their own instance. It's better performance.
I have a question. So on the replicated database, how often do we replicate or sync it?
Look at this flow. All right, so I did additional side of the replicated database because it is something that, I'm not going to say that will be applicable for most of these legacy customers, but it will kind of resolve a lot of their kind of query and stuff that they were doing. So it's every 15 minutes, it's up to every 15 minutes, and that's, for quite a large database. I don't think we've seen it go longer than that.
Is that like a backup copy of the database, or it's different?
Real time.
Yeah. So it just sends to the existing environment where they're now. They can just have the whole database.
Oh, right.
It's read only, so they could run their scripts. They could pull and send data to other systems.
They can run it in real time, but
Yeah.
So the applications in the business is that it only updates what you have changed. So if you go to an account and change the address, and that's the only change you did in 15 minutes, so the next update will be that record is then updated in the replicated instance.
and that instance could be in their local intranet.
Yeah, so they could have all their customizations on that database, and because it's getting replicated, it's not replacing them because it's just doing the data. So they can kind of set up all those things and. So that's kind of, and the good thing is it's not something, this isn't expensive, so it's customers are, no, it's not. So it's fairly easy, when they start saying, oh, but we need this, and we haven't had any kind of, oh, that's not enough, so it's pretty well perceived. In addition to the database replication, there's also this, what we call legacy integration support. So this is where there is direct database, I don't know what I got product, to production over a secure connection. But this is not something that it's not a long-term solution. It's something that, if we do have a customer, they really need to get into the cloud, but they just don't have time to, do all those customizations. We can take it as is, and while they kind of migrate everything, it's just it's to be honest, it's a lot more expensive. So they need to worry up the cost of spend the time to redevelop, whether that's our resources or theirs, or pay a lot of money for all this additional. They get their own instance, they get their own server and their own web and application server. But it is something to keep in the back of the mind. I'm not promoting it. I don't think any of us really want to, but it is, if we do have a customer that I guess they're not afraid to spend that much money, and that is an option. But it's we have one customer globally, I think, on this sort of setup, and that's Las Vegas and Marina Bay Sands. But this was done years and years ago, where they just wanted everything to themselves, so they've got their own little environment up there in the cloud. So now for my animation. So I did a little bit of a workflow to kind of summarize, the data flows between the different options.
I'm going to use this one for the conference presentation.
Yeah, we can jazz it up a little bit. So we have our first scenario that I'm a customer and I'm saying I need to send CRM records from Salesforce to Ungabock. So what would we use? Yay! Next scenario. Oh, I need to send function times to our building management system to power their aircon and lights. Now, what will we use?
API.
Yay! Now, Martin, I correct on this as well. It's not API. Like there needs to be a middleware in between. So you can't just send stuff from here. You need a little bit of code and direction it and give the a bit of advice as to where things need to go. But that's very technical and not for me to explain. But just so you know, you need somebody in between to kind of know what fields and what it needs to be matching. Another scenario. Oh. So I need to run some scripts to get some information. Ready? Then we go to our replicated database. And then from here, they essentially can do whatever they want because it's not touching our environment. And then just some example. Does that all make sense? All right. What do I have next? Customer scenarios. So, I've already got one example to share because I did run out of time for my presentation. But this is my favorite one to talk about because this is their current environment. So this is MCA, and this is when we first started talking about migrating to the cloud, and I asked them to, could you send me, could you give me an understanding of what your current environment looks like? And this is what we got back. With kind of Ungabock there in the middle. So you can see so it's kind of, so we're going to be, we're proposed to embark on a project where we're doing an analysis of, we need to understand, and we just got here about, where's information going, where's it going to, what's coming back in, where is the code currently, because they've contacted other people in the past as well. And it's kind of working out, because these guys, they need to get to the cloud. They've lost all their developers. They've lost their system admin. They don't have resources to upgrade. So they kind of have a real driving, plus they want version 30. So they're kind of, ready to embark on this journey. So, and, it's probably one of the more complex ones I've seen. I don't know about Optus Stadium. I'm sure there's worse.
That looks like someone just dropped a bunch of matchsticks on the screen.
That's our day.
He turned this around within a day or so, though.
So loved it.
But it's quite interesting because it's kind of working, and we really, what I loved about this diagram was showing that Ungabock is in the center of it all, because it's such a huge part of the organisation. So they're a great customer for us to work with, to kind of, get a large customer of all these complex integrations into the cloud, because what we are discussing with them is some sort of case study about this project as well, which is only going to help us with tackling some of these other ones.
Well, on this slide, one of the things that you would have heard in Manish's CEO updates is about the Underbot platform. Underbot is a platform. And this is a good example of that where not only we are just a database and one application within a business, but we are the whole product that runs the business. So yes, you can have other systems, other customizations, other web services, whatever it is running around it. But this is the type of, at the end of the day, all that information needs to be stored somewhere. And in this example, they're all coming back to a, and that's how MCA as a business wanted that to be, that they had one central, not one central software, but one central instance or platform to house all that information. And therefore, now if you look at this from a cloud instance, in order to achieve that, we have the Underbot database sitting there, but on top of that, we have our cloud instance application, we have APIs, we now have a integrations platform, which is the Underbot Connect, and anything else that we can do to make it as a Underbot platform rather than Underbot is a software that does vending management. So that's the shift that we're moving towards.
So what we're doing to help MCA, so we did start this back early in the year, but that focus was more on updating some of its integrations to be API based, which because not all of them were. So we did have Diane work with them on some of their forms, and I forget the other thing, but it was something else. And so, but that was, that proved really well because now, they've kind of gained trust in us and they're looking at to do us, they're looking to use us to do the rest of it. So it's kind of, we show the customer like, they had something that needed to be done. They gave us the opportunity to show that, let us do it for you. And now they're speaking to us about, redoing all of their integrations. Some of them they just need optimizing, some of them we may take as is, just make sure they're okay, or some of them they may need to be rewritten. So, but that's the purpose of why we're going to do like analysis to kind of work out a plan of what to be done and how quickly we can do that. It's about the migration process. There's not much. But a very high level process is to make it sound really, really easy. And depending on, the context of the customer, because I think quite often, and Carly had a question today, is like, how quickly can we migrate? The process itself is quick. We could do a test one weekend and do the live the following weekend, but it's just what a customer needs to do in between. So they need to, they need to upload all the database, they need to test those integrations, and that's if they've been, that's if they're ready for the cloud. If not, then they have to make changes to those integrations. So it's really just that UAT process which really defines how long a migration would take. But I think the quickest one we have done from memory, I don't know. I know we did Property New South Wales, which had no integrations whatsoever, and that was done within a month. So that included from where we got their initial database, when they did all the cutover. At the same time, it's always, we get them to upgrade to the latest version, and so it's kind of like you do a UAT on the cloud, which is just working in a cloud environment, but also doing a UAT on the latest version at the same time, so it's kind of promoting that, oh yeah, we'll take care of your upgrade for you. Any questions about that part? That's all I had, guys. So I left it for Q&A. If anyone has any other questions, or we do have Kush here, so if we did have any technical questions about the process, we've got 25 minutes of his time.
I've got a question. Dunedin, they're hosted, and as part of their hosting, I think they get one Crystal license. They don't have a replicated database, so that they don't need to have that to write all their reports.
That's what we were looking at, where the adjustments at. You just get access to the Cloud Crystal, and you just connect to the database directly.
And that crystal license just assigned to one individual within the org. So how do we find out who that's assigned to?
So it doesn't matter.
It's on the user level.
They've had like a
we have
couple of
a
key
record.
staff leave, so they don't.
It doesn't matter because
Okay.
they just tell us who it needs to be
Okay.
assigned to and we assign it to the person.
It's happened so many times where customers like, I don't know who has it. So we just,
So you can still develop crystal reports without a replicated database. Okay. It's only the SQL. Okay. Thank you.
Instead, don't just tell them what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No more questions.
Do we need to talk about V19?
What's V19?
yeah,
Because that comes up a lot.
yeah.
So, sorry, Mario, we were talking at the same time.
That's all right, we can talk about it.
Yeah, so customers, are still needing access to V19, mainly with finding financial windows or other areas that haven't been rewritten yet.
Yeah.
And so we need to quote separately on our proposals for version
I
19
guess-
access, which is a bit more
really?
So I guess, yeah,
expensive.
this is really a pricing thing, but I guess with,
Yeah.
so I guess to your customers, so if you do have customers that still have 19, they will have to pay a higher fee overall. It's like if they were on-premise or hosted, it doesn't change, there's still no direct access to 19, but there's because our hosted is a per user cost. So it's a lot cheaper if you only have web users. But if you got, so it's an opportunity to encourage them if they're using 19 just because, then don't. But if they are using 19 because they need to, then at this stage, we are kind of charging them a higher fee.
Is that just a bridge
Yeah.
you're talking about? You've got to pay to bridge.
Yeah.
Citrix is more expensive.
Yeah, so
Quite a
I
bit
need to
more.
talk to you guys about that one, how we put it in.
yeah.
We need to hide it on the order form because people are being.
I'm not,
coming across.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we need to look at. I still like the idea of saying this is what our standard costs are,
Yeah.
but we have reduced it for only V20 users at much cheaper. But right now, when I was looking at conversations the other way around,
Yeah.
where V20 is our standard cost, but we have to pay extra for V19. We have to change that, right? Because after this,
It's not great.
It really
is it? We had that this morning.
I realized that why do I have to pay more because the product hasn't been
Is it?
So that keeps like an agile as well.
And then the customer has to take the time to do an audit to work out how many users are actually still needing V19 in the organisation as well. So it's kind of.
And it doesn't look good when we're forcing them and like we haven't rewritten things, but we're charging them more, which is not their fault.
Yeah. So what I personally do is I kind of give them one figure, and I've made assumptions based on that figure, saying I look at their concurrent users, and I don't do like a per user. I kind of there's some kind of way where in the end I just send them one pricing, and this includes up to X amount of users. It's still, but I guess you might be. That V19 pricing is the price it always used to be. But I guess in comparison, that V20 version 30 pricing is a lot cheaper. So it's kind of like, although that they're still paying for the 19 access, they're paying pennies for the version 20. So just as a comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about pricing.
Yeah, don't go.
You don't want to open that kind of home. So.
But I didn't understand what the push for, say, BRC was to get people to stop bridging, and it's probably that.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
I didn't know that, so obviously we'll focus on that again.
But sometimes it's just habit. You don't want to be paying for
See,
yourself.
one of the reasons why we also put this in pricing structure in this place is because there are customers who are just lazy and they are not getting their users to move to V20 even though the functionality already exists. They themselves haven't prepared to move and start using it. So now this is more like a carrot and the stick scenario where if you want to continue using it, so V19, fine, while it's there, you can, but you gotta pay more for it. But it's also, in certain customers, it's the other way around, where the software hasn't been migrated to V20 yet, and hence we have to have the hard conversations around it. Which works both ways.
Did SCGT eventually move to V20 or they didn't want to move because the jobs weren't?
The Sydney Creek game is still on 19. Delaware is 20.
Yeah, but they're already in the cloud.
Yeah.
They're in the cloud, yeah.
So for them it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But they've got.
Oh, direct access to V90. Yeah, that's the exception.
Yeah.
Because jobs are not ready. So yeah, integration, sorry.
We don't know if he's on our side yet.
Don't say that.
One side, backs out the pricing. Yeah, I'm today for sure. I'll tell you what you need to say.
Yeah, I think the integration was that you mentioned at the start of the presentation, saying that, so how are we supporting them to move to the cloud?
With the integration?
Is that the full-time engagement with the...
So I think it will be case by case. With how we do integrations at the moment, they are like a subscription, they're supported. But with this initiative, migrate to the cloud, we are kind of doing what we call, I guess, time materials to just get them into the cloud.
So would those then be subscription services that they need to pay? So, okay.
But I think the idea is we're not rewriting them. We're kind of, reviewing and optimizing them. But then moving forward, we can look at, changing the whole integration.
So they need to move an API model, right, in that case?
Well, that's the intention that any existing integrations, if it requires outside communication, then yes, we have to convert them to use the API. But in MCA's case, they themselves are pushing that. Let's move all of these heavy ways that they develop it to try and use as much of the API as possible.
So what do you do when, so you're asking someone to use the API and there's not everything in the API.
No, but that's where we gotta build.
So then you can charge them for extra pieces of the API, even though you want them to move to the API to get to the cloud.
Well, the thing is that because it doesn't exist and they want to achieve a end goal, they still have to do it in some way. And the preferred way would be to, rather than direct SQL access, we build something that handles that in a seamless way. So it's still, the customer still needs their objective to be met. The API is one piece of the larger puzzle. We just, whatever the gaps are, we try and fill in whichever way possible.
It just seems we're pushing towards the cloud when we're not ready.
Well, it doesn't have to be like it indicates a lot of things.
Yeah, only some customers will be fine, but some of the big ones.
But we're providing options, right? And then they weigh it out to say whether yes, API can be used for 90% and 10% is what we do. But we build it in the pricing. We don't say, hey, we charge you X amount the API and I'll charge you 10 times more to build this little piece to. But we just say, here's the total solution. We don't need to tell the customer that how we're going to build it. We'll just build it to say, does it meet your outcomes? Yes, it does. Great, move on. So but if the conversation becomes harder is when an on-premise customer is trying to do it themselves. But the reality is that's where we are being honest to say, this is all the API has. So there you go. But we need something else and then tech services can come in and fill any gaps. But hence the discussions about business outcomes. How we get there is really up to us, and if they are happy to pay for the amount, then it's up to them. Now, one of the main things, and this was one of the things that we were talking about in the annual planning, was opening up our cloud offering to try and we'll do whatever we can to get our existing on-premise customers onto the cloud. We had a lot of restrictions before where we just go to IT and say, we want to do this, we want to do this, and then those customers who could have been migrated because they were sort of thinking and planning, just because we couldn't do it, they just parked it, and now we are going back to fight those battles again to convince them to come. And we are at a stage where it's the largest and the oldest of our customers that we have to get to, and they are the ones which are the most complex. I think every account manager has one of those. Or two or three.
If you have a look at who's not hosted, 80% are larger customers.
In
All of Victoria.
Australia,
Asia.
and Southeast Asia, if you just look at those two markets, what's the percentage of cloud customers versus on-prem?
So saying if I don't include Asia,
Don't do-
it's much different. I don't know if I still got my,
You'd be surprised.
yeah. If we just leave to Australia and New Zealand,
I need to excuse myself. Thank you very much.
It's important for you to know.
Okay.
It's important for you to know why we're pushing for the cloud.
I've got a call starting in about 5 minutes.
Now, I think it's booked to 2:30, right? This one?
All right.
Sorry, Maria, you can go.
That's all right. If it's important.
Well, it
Damage
depends
is
on-
done.
it depends on how long it takes Amara to find that information.
oh no. Done.
Yeah, nah. Say nah. Yeah.
I'm expecting a dashboard.
No, he's not. He's not. We've got limited time.
Oh, I thought you guys had seen my
No,
screen.
I thought you
I
were
had
doing it on
it
the
done.
fly.
Here we go. So we got 82 hosted and 53 non-hosted. So then if we look at, are they hosted?
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're hosted.
On a
like
list
so-
that needs a bit of review.
But the point being is,
I knew those.
there's a lot of customers who are
Okay,
still on
flags.
premise.
Okay, they're the new flags, so we haven't updated the statuses. So if we minus those.
Last time I checked,
Convention centre, racing clubs.
Preston, yeah.
Showroom.
I mean, 50 is a lot. We only have 190 customers. Out of that, 50 of them are still on-prem, and these are some of our biggest ARR earners.
Wesley.
So the risk is they just might say now we're going to some other solution, and hence moving to the cloud is quite an important task for us as a company. But the good news is we are way ahead compared to all the other regions.
Are we?
And customers actively test the cloud. I know for my customers, I've got IC Sydney testing, I've got Sydney Opera House testing, I've got MCA testing. So that's one thing, if you do have customers that are, you can say, oh, we could do a test cloud, no problem. They just send us copy of their database, we put it in the cloud, we give 3 users. For these customers, I've even put version 30 on so they can play with that too, just to get add a bit of extra motivation to go to the cloud. It's not the carrot and the stick.
For the donkeys.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Shasmara, for such a thorough, fabulous.
Hopefully I'll
Thanks,
be
Samara.
back again.
Thanks, Diane.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't know what happened.
Here it
Hey,
is.
Steve. Bye.
Thank you. Bye,
See you,
Diane.
Di.
Bye.
So I'm putting the
We'll pop them on the Friday train.